The headlines tonight: the threat of the net, a warning from police after a spike in crime committed on social media. We won't be beaten after thieves steal clothes meant for the homeless. Volunteers plan to open a market stall to offer help. And coming up after the break, Norfolk Replies, our new platform celebrating your comments and opinions on the county's biggest stories.
Good evening and welcome to Mustard. Today we're talking about staying safe online as cases of harassment, blackmail and other crimes surge on social media across Norfolk. Police say it's an issue that's not going to go away and one that businesses, parents and schools need to work together to tackle. Today, to mark a Safer Internet Day, we've been speaking to one man who's counting the cost of being targeted online.
Facebook, now a part of daily life for most people. But not for Oliver Sell. 7 months after being scammed out of £1,600 by a con man posing as his friend on the social media site, the 21-year-old still hasn't logged back in. The offender claimed to be struggling with university fees, and when Oliver sent through £200, claimed it had bounced, convincing him to do it again and again until his account was empty.
The first few couple of weeks were sheer panic because obviously I didn't have any money for sort of the bills or any of the things that I needed to pay because I was absolutely broke. And because it was just before I was going to move out with a mate, like about a week and a half before I was about to move out. But obviously as soon as I'd lost that, that means I had no money to move out, no money for deposits or anything. So I did have to quite let him down rather badly on that.
Oliver reported the incident to his bank and the police, but because of the anonymity of the internet, no one's ever been caught, and he's never seen his money again. And he isn't alone. Figures show the amount of cybercrime involving social media in the county is rising. 390 offences were recorded in 2014, 614 in 2015, and 655 last year. Of those, most were via Facebook, though there were 60 involving Twitter and 11 on Tinder. Paul Muskell is the cyber security advisor at Norfolk Police. The role's only existed for 18 months, but he says he's getting busier every day and the threat is not going to go away.
Because of the dramatic increase in social media and technology, our culture hasn't really caught up with it. So very often is that you have this idea that if you would go and lock your front door, or you would lock your car at night, or you'd walk away and not leave your valuables on the dashboard, etc. of the car. But in reality, with your mobile phones, our black screens that run our lives and our businesses, that's exponentially more exposed to the outside world than your car or your front door will ever be. So it's very much a cultural change across the board.
And it's that naive culture Norfolk Police are trying to target as part of Safer Internet Day. Last week, the Chief Constable posted this photo online. In a matter of days, it's been seen by more than 1.5 million people, reaching as far as New York and Australia.
But what parents really need to understand, and teachers and practitioners and across the board, we need to understand that it's no different to when we were told when we were younger to not talk to strangers. Yes, talking to strangers is kind of a thing that happens online, but it's also about the awareness of what information you're sharing online, what you're talking to them about, and what information you're giving away.
It all presents a challenge for Norfolk schools. Here at North Walsham, they've produced an online safety guide that's now being used across the country. They hope to educate the children to stay safe online, to stop them learning the lessons the hard way, like Oliver. Lauren Hewitt, Mustard TV, Swanton Morley.
Some other headlines now, and a court's heard how a horror crash in Norwich was caught after a driver's ill-fitting shoe fell off and got jammed under a pedal. The incident on Magdalen Road was captured in the background of this CCTV footage, and this is the state the vehicle ended up in, a female pedestrian sent flying through the windscreen. She survived, but yesterday, Norwich Magistrates Court heard how the crash happened. Driver Patrick Clancy panicked after his shoe fell off and hit the accelerator instead of the brake. The 68-year-old from Templemere in Norwich admitted driving without due care and without insurance. He was disqualified and fined £100. Meanwhile, a dumper truck driver had a lucky escape this morning after his vehicle caught fire in Norwich. This was the scene off Shorthorn Road, the fire breaking out in the engine compartment before crews arrived to tackle it. The truck belonged to Thompson Sawmills, who said the driver escaped unharmed. Now, an inmate who was mistakenly released 3 weeks early by Norwich Prison has been asked to hand himself back in. The 22-year-old had been moved to HMP Norwich from Birmingham after riots there last month, but he was let go by mistake, a few weeks short of his 30-month sentence. The Ministry of Justice says such incidents are rare and prisoners are normally returned to custody quickly. In this case, the inmates told the Birmingham Mail he'll probably hand himself back in after the weekend. Next, heartbreak for a woman who set up a clothes rail for the homeless in Norwich, only for hundreds of pounds worth of donated items to be stolen over the weekend. Tonight, though, the founders vowed not to be beaten, and she's about to set up a secure market stall, as Christina Brinkley reports.
Last week, an outpouring of generosity from the public. A new clothes rail set up to help the homeless in Norwich keep warm. But days later, devastation as the items donated to help those most in need are stolen. Kimmy Taylor was behind the Share the Warmth winter coat drive on White Lion Street, and she was left heartbroken when her friend reported what had happened.
She said all that's left is 2 clothing rails and about 10 garments hanging up. It was all stolen. There was one box, the plastic tub, and they'd just smashed it to pieces and it was all over the floor. I felt responsible for those items that everyone had given and donated that had just been taken. And I was gutted, absolutely gutted.
The idea for the project came after Kimmy's 4-year-old son offered to give a homeless man his own jacket as it was cold outside. People quickly caught on and soon hundreds of pounds worth of jumpers, toiletries, hats and scarves were donated before they were all taken. The mother of 3 now hopes to open a market stall as a permanent secure base for the project. She already has a sponsor sorted, Hatter's clothing shop, which is also on White Lion Street.
We now can't trust it being out in the open after what's happened. It's not right because, we can't trust having another theft and all the stock going. So until we get the market stall, it's literally a case of carrying on donations, carrying on all the stock, bringing it in, and then getting the market stall and going all in heads first.
Kimmy has contacted the police and it's hoped CCTV footage from around the area will catch those responsible. Messages of support have also flooded her Facebook page, and Kimmy is more determined than ever to help the city's homeless.
You're not going to stop me doing what I'm doing, and my friends and the 600 followers that we've got on the page will not be beaten, and we will not stop.
Christina Brinkley, Mustard TV, Norwich.
Right, time for the latest sport now. Here's Phil Arms.
Thanks, Rob. And it's been announced today that Canaries centre-back Tim Closer has been shortlisted for the Championship PFA Fans' Player of the Month award for January. The 28-year-old has been nominated alongside 5 other players, with voting open until 7 p.m. this evening and the result due to be announced tomorrow morning. Norwich City are in EFL Championship action this evening at second from bottom side Wigan, looking for their 4th consecutive win and their first back-to-back victory on the road since September last year. Manager Alex Neil will have to make at least one change to his starting lineup from the hard-fought win at Cardiff at the weekend, with Alex Tetty being ruled out for 2 matches after picking up a 10th yellow card in the game against the Bluebirds. Meanwhile, the under-23 side were beaten 1-0 by Aston Villa last night in a feisty affair at Carrow Road. The young Canaries, who beat the same team 4-3 in a Premier League International Cup game just a few weeks ago, enjoyed far more of the possession and were only denied from earning at least a share of the points by some superb goalkeeping from Villa's keeper Victor Johansson. However, a 67th minute strike from Andre Green against the run of play was enough to separate the teams at the final whistle. Elsewhere this evening, Kings Lynn hosts St Neots in the Evo Stick Southern Premier Division. Norwich United welcome Long Stratton to Plantation Park for the quarter-final of the Norfolk Senior Cup, but Wroxham Town's match against Brentwood is off due to a waterlogged pitch. Belgian forward Vincent Leroux scored twice for Harleston Magpies in the Men's East League Hockey Premier A Division match as they beat Chelmsford 4-3. Player coach Ben Wright gave the Magpies an early lead, and together with goals from Leroux and Matthew Richardson, they raced to a 4-1 advantage before the home team scored 2 in the second half to make it a nervy final few minutes. Whilst the Magpies ladies had a terrific start to the second half of the Women's East Conference season with an emphatic 7-1 victory at Northampton Saints, a win that keeps them third in the table and in touching distance of the top 2. And Norwich Dragons ladies became only the second team to take points off Premier Division leaders Bedford with a hard-fought 1-1 draw. Stacey Lee scoring the all-important equaliser after the home side had taken a lead from a well-worked penalty corner midway through the first half. And finally, 18-year-old Megan Jenkins from Norwich takes part in the English Alpine Championships in Bormio, Italy later this month. The former City of Norwich School pupil, who is now a full-time skier, is aiming to get back to her best after 13 months out due to suffering a ruptured knee ligament that meant she had to undergo 9 months of rehab before getting back on her skis last October. That's the latest sport all up to date, so it's back to you, Rob.
Thanks very much, Phil. And finally tonight, a quick salute to the amazing Trevor Middleton, the pensioner from Norwich, who's been playing in the Salvation Army band for more than 70 years. Yes, that's a blast of tenor horn Trevor, who's about to celebrate his 80th birthday. Believe it or not, for 7 of those decades, he's been a member of the Norwich Mile Cross Salvation Army band. Here he is, just starting out all the way back in 1948, and despite years of services, events and even a tour of Sweden, Trevor says he's still not ready to give up. Wonderful stuff. OK, let's get the latest weather now. Here's Weather Quest.
Tonight, some cloud and patchy drizzle will remain over the east of the region, but this will slowly move westwards in the early hours. Western areas will have a dry start to the night with some clear spells, but these clear spells may bring some mist patches as cloud thickens from the east. Winds will be light and variable, but become easterly later in the night. Minimum temperatures will fall to lows of 2 Celsius. Tomorrow, Wednesday, it will be a rather cloudy and cold day with the risk of a few showery outbreaks of drizzle, but there'll also be some brighter spells developing. With a light east or northeasterly wind, highs will be around 3 to 5 Celsius on Wednesday. Looking ahead, it will stay cold and mainly cloudy with some bright intervals on Thursday and Friday. It will become slightly warmer over the weekend with some coastal showers in the north. Dry and mainly sunny weather will return by Monday, though there will be some hard frosts overnight.
Right, it's time for a break now, but don't go anywhere because coming up is the first instalment of what we're calling Norfolk Replies. That's our rundown of what you've been saying about some of the biggest stories of the week, celebrating all the comments and opinions from the sincere to the slightly surreal. Lots of fun and games coming up next, so do stay with us.